Hello everybody and welcome back to Workshops with Willow. I am going to be showing you today how to do your lowercase cursive alphabet letters. So thank you for joining me. Alright, let's get into some lowercase letters. So I'm going to start with your A, and we start just below the center, go up to the center, around to the bottom, and back up to the center. Lift our pen and create a little tail that goes down to the bottom and out the door. For the B, we're going to start at the top, go all the way down into the bottom, touch the basement, curve back up, and stop at the center. Connect back at the center. For our C, just below the center, we're going to go up to the center, curve around, and come back down to the bottom and out the door. For our D, we're going to start just below the center, go up to the center and curve around to the bottom, back up, and go all the way like you're going to connect it to the top, but this is where I stop. I don't do my line all the way up to the top because it creates a lot of bulkiness. So what I do is I stop right here, and then I come all the way up to the top, and I draw a line down connecting the edge of my D, and then take that straight back out the door. For an E, we start at the bottom, come up to the center, we create a curve that goes out to the side, up to the center, and around to the bottom, and out the door. I'm so sloppy with this. I love that you guys love me. So for a lowercase f, interestingly enough, I paint window signs, but okay. So for an F, we start just above the bottom, take our curve and go up to the top, all the way to the top, all the way to the top. Do a slight curve at the top, bring it all the way down to the bottom, through the bottom into the basement. Bring it back up above the basement, and then allow that tail to go out the door. Now for our G is going to we're going to start just below the center, go up to the top, there I go, see? We're going to start just below the center, go up to the center and curve around to the bottom, just like we did our D. We're going to stop there when we connect. Then we're going to come back up to the center, create a line going down that connects them, through the basement, curves back up, and goes out the door. For our H, we're going to start at the bottom, go up straight up, add a slant to the top, bring our slant almost directly down in its same course. Then we're going to come back up here to the center, just below the center, make a curve going up to the center, down to the bottom, and out the door. For the letter I, we're going to do a little tail that starts just below the center and goes up to the center, down to the bottom, and out the door. And we're going to dot it. For the J, we're going to start just above the bottom, give ourselves a little tail hooking up to the center. And then we're going to create a line that follows its course, down through into the basement, back up, and out the door. And we're going to dot our J. All right, so to do the K, we're going to start just above the bottom, go sweeping line up to the top, follow its course back down. Just below the center, we're going to give it a nice little slanted bubble, connecting back to our original line. And then we're going to give it a nice little curved tail that goes out the door. So for a lowercase l, we're going to start at the top. When we get to the bottom, we're going to curve and go out the door. Or we can start just above the center, go up to the top, come down and out the door. We can start our tail closer to the top. Okay. We're just going to create a really cute, fancy little line. It can sit parallel to another cute, fancy little line. Okay, get it? That one was easy. So now for a lowercase m, we're going to start at our bottom line. We're going to go up to our center line, give it a curve, bring it back down to the bottom. Lift your pen, start just below the center again, at the top of your M, create another little bump. Don't take this one all the way down. You're going to want this one to stop right before the bottom. Lift your pen, and then curve to go right back up, and do it again. When you get to the bottom of your M, you're going to curve it and let it go straight out the door. We're going to do something very similar with your N. We're going to start just above the bottom, give it a curving line up to the center, back down to the basement. We're going to start just below the center, go up to the center, curve your line down to the bottom, and go ahead and let that one go straight out the door. Your O can be independent and start at the center, going down to the bottom, back up to the center, with a little tail that goes out the window. Or you can start it at the bottom, because chances are you're going to be coming off of another letter anyways. Okay. Your lowercase p starts at the bottom with a little tail that goes up to the center, comes straight down through the basement. You're going to lift your pen and go ahead and give it a nice big belly right there that goes from the top, that goes from the center and curves around to the bottom. So for your Q, your lowercase q, you're going to do the same thing that you did with your G. You're going to start just below your center, go up to the center, down to the bottom, and complete your loop. Then you're going to lift your pen, come back to the center, draw that straight line that goes out to the basement. And this time, instead of curving your tail to the left, we're going to curve it to the right. That Q's tail curves to the right. When you get just above the line of your basement, you can go ahead and give it a tail that goes out the door. The lowercase r, I hate doing R's, I hate doing S's, but this is how I do an R. Usually I'll start just above my bottom line and I'll kind of trail into my R. Then I'll give it this dramatic blump and this curvy line. Hi guys, are you enjoying the video? Give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Be sure to turn on your notifications to catch the next one. Visit a full art store with prints and merchandise at willowbrookfineart.com. You can also become a patron of Workshops with Willow on patreon.com. Did you get that? Wasn't that beautiful? Wasn't that descriptive? I'll do it one more time. So for my R, I'll give it this. I'll start just below the center and give it this sweeping line up. This big dollop at the top. Usually I'm using a paintbrush or some kind of paint. So this thinner sweeping line is not usually that thick. It looks a little bit thinner like that. And then as I come down, my brush will thicken out and curve and go out the door. So just an example. I'm a little bit more familiar with using brushes than dry erase markers. So please forgive me for the difference in tools. I'm not very familiar with this. So this is a lot thicker than what I would use to be doing this with a brush also. But anyways, moving on. Your S, I start just above the bottom line. I take that up to the center. At the center, I give it another little dollop. And instead of sweeping this one out the door, I curve that S around with a big belly and have it come back and meet where it began. Then I go ahead and repeating the same thing, sweep it back out to attach the next letter. See? And this is how we practice. So we don't typically practice just by writing out all of our letters in the alphabet in chronological order. This is how we get good at practicing our letters. So after you watch me do this, go ahead and grab your own sheet of paper, but this is how you practice. You're going to practice your short strokes and your short curves. Your short strokes, your short curves, and then, ooh, look at that funky curve. That's what you're going to practice, is that you maintain consistency. I lost my consistency as I was moving on to the next thing I wanted to tell you. That's funny. So you're going to practice not only your consistency, but your distance between this letter and the next letter. and make sure that you're gaining consistency here also. Okay, so yeah, okay. So anyways, SQRSTUV. All right, let's move on to a lowercase t. I'm going to start just below the top. I'm going to give it its own independent tail to the top. I don't usually attach the top of my T to another letter. It gives cursive writing a little too many strokes. So I started at the top. You can give it a little tail if you'd like, and a straight line down to the bottom, and a curve out the door. And then just like any lowercase t, we give it a cross. Ooh, these markers. It might have even been better with just a straight piece of paper. But anyways, a lowercase u, I start at the bottom and I sweep up to the center, down to the basement, and curve it back up to the center. Then I go ahead and give it that little tail that lets it get out the door to the next letter. For the V, I do the same thing, starting at the bottom and sweeping up to the center. Here, I give it a line down to the bottom, and instead of a big bubble, I give it a sharp turn. And of course, that sharp turn, when you get to the top, you're going to be heading out the window to the next letter. For your W, you can start at the bottom, go up to the center, lift your pen, follow its course back down to the bottom with a big bubble up to the center. Or well, you should go just below the center, but... And then we're going to lift our pen and do the same thing, following that line down to the bottom, back up to the center, and then out the door. Out the window. We're going out the window for this one. It's interesting to try to create a dialogue to what it is that you're doing while you're writing. It's interesting how we'll just kind of go through and do something or not and not even think about it. Whereas now you have to slow down. I have to slow down enough to tell you. This is interesting. I love it. Thank you for joining me. So for our X, we're going to start just below our center, go up to the center, and give it a straight line down to the bottom. Well, it's not really straight. It's slanted and it's curved. And when you get to the bottom, you're going to want to take it out the door to the next letter. But anyways, here we go. Then we're going to come back up to the center and give it a straight cross across it. Okay. Now for the Y, I start just below, just above the bottom, take my line curving up to the center, and then I bring it back down to the bottom and create a bucket just like our U did. Only I don't do this same movement with the Y. I do my Y with a little bit more of a, what would that be, a convex curve? An outward curve? Okay, so anyways, an outward curve from up to the center, curve that down to the bottom, and bring it back up to the center. When you get to the center, lift your pen, follow your original line down to the bottom, through the basement, have that curve, and go out the door. And then for a Z, again, one of my favorite letters, still my favorite. I start just below the center, and making a curve, I go up to the center, bring my curve down to the basement, I stop at the basement, and this is just like we did a capital Z. At the basement, I lift my pen, I start over again, and I take that line upwards, bring it down and around and out, through the basement, and out the door. Okay. So you will see a lot of times as we are writing our cursive letters, a lot of our strokes match the stroke that we just did before. This builds consistency in your letters and stroking. Today what I showed you was the bare dynamics and fundamentals to the structure of a letter. In the next video I am going to show you about these strokes. I'm going to show you in detail about these strokes, how to create them more consistently, how to dissect each and every one of these letters into strokes, into each individual stroke, so that you too can create beautiful hand lettering, calligraphy. Calligraphy is all about the stroke. It has very little to do with the actual letter. This has been an incredible journey showing you how I goof up writing all of my letters, and I hope that you've enjoyed joining me, and I will see you real soon in the next video. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you love art and love this channel, by shopping at the art store or becoming a Patreon member, your contributions support this channel and its content.